What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 311. I just realized, Deej, all the 300 episodes have either movie or music references. Great band, 311, back in the day. That alt-rock life, the ones that get it. The more and more we've gone through these. We had Mr. 305, we had 303, 300, Are You Not Entertained? Like, it's just a big pop culture. Big pop culture music, the 304, everything in the early 300s is music and movie related. But it is the award nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse pod on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. KB and Deej coming at you. I am back from Champ Series. It was a blast, a doozy of a time, a great time. Man, it is wild being out of your element for a week and then trying to catch up on everything, but well worth it. Champ Series was a blast. We'll talk about that later on in the show. We got NLL to talk about, not only games, but we got big time news from the NLL that broke on Wednesday that we're going to talk about, and a whole lot more. And of course, the college week in review and the week that will be in progress and coming up for you guys. We'll talk that as well. Plus, we got beef with an NLL team. Big time beef. At least I do. I don't know if Deej is reciprocating said beef, but we shall see. But we got a fun episode. Plus, we have 2 interviews and instant recap that will be in here. Instant recap featuring myself and Chris Rosenthal from Inside Lacrosse. Shout out to Rosie for hopping on immediately after the championship game. That'll be later on in the show. We have a fun, awesome interview and an insightful interview with VP of ticketing for the PLL Danny Passovoy that you won't want to miss. There's some great details in there. Plus, he broke some news for PLL Nation and you app users when it comes to homecoming passes in our interview. First exclusive. We got the exclusive, Deej. We got the exclusive. That'll be later on the episode. Plus, you guys saw the clip, the origin story of the Tony Resch ice cream parties. We got our OTB radio hit with Piper Bond, Utah Archers, short stick D Mitty, one of the 2 pups from the 2023 World Champion Utah Archers as well in this episode. So 3 big-time, fun, awesome hits from OTB radio that you won't want to miss that will be in this episode. But before we get into all of that, make sure you are subscribed to the pod and following the pod at OTB Lax Pod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. Be like the San Diego Seals and follow the boys. We'll talk about that as well in a minute. But follow us at OTB Lax Pod. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_next great. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the pod. Bro, I don't know why we didn't think of this well beforehand, but I got to read some of the rules and regs to make sure we're not breaking any of the rules. We got to promote the pod in the Discord way more, because the Discord people from the PLL and PLL Nation, they're a fun time. They're a good time. I was hanging out in the Discord a little bit this weekend, pumping our code, which we'll talk about as well. They came through. The Discord's a good time, bro. The Discord is a good time. Your mic is muted.
I didn't even know my mic was off. That's wild. I might have to hop back in the Discord then. It's been a little minute since I've been like active in there. I pop in from time to time and kind of just scroll through and like kind of see what people have been talking about. But it might be time I get a little more active in there again.
I've been hanging out in the PLL Nation like tab, and it's a good vibe in there. Good energy, good people, good times.
It's just hard to keep up.
I know.
Not even just that one tab. There's just so many tabs.
but it is a good tool for us, and I think we need to utilize it more.
Yeah.
Because OTB Nation, handshake emoji, PLL Nation.
And there's a lot of people are talking about a lot of good stuff in there.
Facts.
A lot of good theories and stuff getting swirled around.
Some good stuff in there. Shout out to the Discord. Which next week we will have an interview from OTB Radio with Brendan Coleman, who is the man, the myth, the legend behind the PLL app. And he gave his flowers to the Discord as well. That'll be on next week's show. And subscribe to the pod. We got some new subscribers from our interview with Mike Rabel, which was awesome. Go check that out if you haven't already. I've also been thinking too, I wanted to get your thoughts on this while we're talking about subscribing to the pod. Just doing a montage episode at some point of all of our interviews from radio at Champ Series and just having them all in one episode, potentially, as a nice little Champ Series cherry on top there. That might be coming as an audio exclusive.
Yeah.
To get
on
you guys
Spotify.
in there. Yeah, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. But subscribe to the pod. I know we got some new Spotify followers from the Mike Rabel interview. Shout out to you. Shout out to the new listeners. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Got some new subscribers over there from the Mike Rabel interview. YouTube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's where you get full video episodes of this show every single week. All the OTB radio interviews in video form will be on the YouTube channel. All the podcasts on our network in video form on the YouTube channel. Live streams, shorts, clips, original video content. It's all on there. We're at 744 subscribers right now. Let's get to 800. Let's get to 800 before, I don't know, before the NLL trade deadline.
Okay.
I know that's coming up pretty quick, but let's get to 800 before the trade deadline. Let's make that happen. YouTube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. And of course, get your merch. PHI Apparel Company is the place to do that. Get your OTB hoodies, your shirts, Underground Sports Philadelphia shirts and hoodies. All of our podcasts. There's going to be some new Top Bins merch for our soccer brand. Just did a whole new logo redesign and brand redesign for them, which looks absolutely flago. And I'm not just saying that because I designed it, but it looks awesome. A lot of input from the man, the myth, the legend, Dom, on that as well. That's going to be up there. Plus, if you're a Philly sports fan, they got Philly sports merch for days. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your merch orders. Most effective and direct way to support everything we're doing here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. Go get your merch, phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND, 10% off your orders. Deej, what's popping, brother?
Bro, I'm living. I was sick a couple days ago, so I'm feeling a lot better. Basketball's almost over, so thank God. And lacrosse is literally right around the corner. My first practice is March 10th, man. So I'm just under, exactly 3 weeks. And I'm pumped, dude. First game's March 20th. So I'm just excited, man. This season's gonna be good to us. We should be 500 or better. So we're gonna make strides. And our gear came in. I've been rocking some of that, and I'm waiting on this coat I got though. I bought a New Balance Defender jacket with our logo on it. I'm just waiting for that to come in the mail.
That's sick.
I almost forgot. Shout out to the Dogs. They opened up their season last night, Wednesday, as we record on Thursday, like we normally do. Playing none other than Nat St. Lawrence, Ohio Northern University Polar Bears, like they did last year. We come out on top 12-11 in a triple overtime game. Yeah, bro. It was hype. So shout out to the Dogs. I'll be keeping an eye on them, and I will probably be giving constant recaps for people on the show. So just get used to that, because this is one of those years that I think Adrian has a chance to jump hope at the least, or maybe even beat Albion and look at a conference championship. They're good this year.
Well, not even that. Being that I have my broadcast gig with Vineland Public Schools and everything too, and they're because we only have a boys lacrosse team at the high school. Their head coach Kevin Coring, shout out, listener of the show. Gonna try to scheme and plot some things, potentially work out a potential, version of the Vineland football show for this show.
Okay.
Work on some things, potentially talk with him. Maybe not for this year, maybe get him on as a guest, but plotting and scheming, He's a listener of the show and he appreciates what we do, follows a bunch of our stuff, not only this show, but main pod as well. So we're gonna work on some things there too.
I like that.
Let's get into it, Deej. What a week it has been. It feels like a whirlwind. The NLL Week 12 recap. Let's recap that first. Wild week. Some good, some bad, some ugly. And my picks just continue to be absolutely dog shit. And I don't know what it is. I'm going to have to get out of this funk one way or another. But the week that was, it was a short week, went like this. Halifax. See, I have to preface this. If I would have realized that it was Marvel Night in Halifax and the jersey combos for those teams were what they were, I would have picked Halifax instantly. They were wearing Thor-themed uniforms. Buffalo was wearing Loki. I would have immediately chosen Halifax if I would have known that. That is Jersey Analytics 101. But we were not privy to that information.
I mean, I was privy to it being Marvel Night.
I knew it was Marvel Night.
I
just didn't know what jersey. I didn't realize that was going to be an intertwined jersey night the way that it was. Instantly would have picked Halifax. But I digress. I didn't. I went with Loki. He's a god himself. He's keeping the whole multiverse together right now. Go watch Loki season 2, not an ad.
Facts.
Halifax wins 14-12. Toronto takes down New York in the UnBOXed Series game 16-10.
As soon as I start picking them,
all good things come to an end.
Man,
that's not just from that game. Philadelphia gets a much needed win against Las Vegas 10-8.
It was a tough one.
Albany takes down Colorado 13-11. And then your Roughnecks get a big time win at home 17-11. What stood out for you from the week that was in the NLL?
What stood out first was that you were at the St. James, so you didn't put out the picks graphic. So yes. I was like completely lost.
I know I've been behind on the past 2 weeks, but picks graphics will be back this week.
Yeah, and that's probably more so for them than it is for me. I just forgot what I picked this week, so I was like, "Fuck, I have no clue like how good or bad I'm doing right now because I don't even know what my picks are." I knew I picked Calgary to win, so that was 4-1. I knew what I did on the outsides because I knew I picked Halifax to win and Halifax to lose. I just couldn't remember the middle, and then but I picked the Riptide over Toronto because I was like, they've been vibing.
Same.
And then they shit the bed. So thanks. And you know what? That's a good see you later moment. Because they'll be back for a little while. Farewell's coming soon.
Good grief.
I'm just saying, bro. Like, as soon as I started getting a little bit of confidence in them and really like being okay with being a Riptide fan, they go and do this. They go and lose.
Cue the Kanye West. It all falls down.
Man, they go and lose, and they didn't just lose. They lost it all. They lost it all.
Man, my boy is kicking us. Stop. They're already dead.
But the Albany, Colorado game was actually great. I got a chance to watch some of that while I was working a wine event, so my phone was kind of just propped up. By the way, if you are a single male, working a wine event is a great opportunity for you. I had an amazing time. But yeah, I was watching some of this game.
Are you a wine guy?
Wine's okay, yeah. Depends. I like the dry stuff drives me off the wall. Sweet stuff, And I like the sweet stuff, but I can do red with like steak and stuff. So it really just depends. It depends more so on what the meal is. If it's anything but steak, I don't want red.
Because
I want
no free
something
shout
sweet.
outs, but if they want to work with us, 100% on board. It was on Shark Tank, and I saw them advertise on Barstool for a little bit. It's called pie wine,
Mhm.
and it's wine that's meant for pizza.
Oh.
It's meant to pair with pizza.
Mhm.
If they wanna get down with the boys,
You know what
just
we
saying.
need to find? Somebody to make something. They got to come up with the name themselves, but some wine that's paired with cheesesteaks.
I'm working on a company that's up your alley in terms of hot sauce that goes with cheesesteaks.
Here we go. Here we go.
So, but yeah, if Paiwan wants to get down with the boys, come on, true, because we're both big pizza boys. And obviously, I don't drink, but I'm here. I love their packaging, and when it comes to alcohol, that's what your boy looks at, and then I send it off to the people to taste test. The packaging's great. So
And I'm
Paiwan,
sure
no free shout outs.
Sure, your mom drinks wine.
Yeah,
CFO
she'd get
Marge
down.
does, for
CFO
sure.
Margie would get down with the cause.
Yeah.
Even injury expert OG would get down with the cause.
Yeah. Of course he would. Has he had a Kenny?
Mm-hmm. CFO Margie enjoys the Kennys a lot.
Okay.
And she's not even a big beer person. That's
I
her
didn't
beer of
see
choice.
that. I didn't see that coming.
That is her beer of choice.
Interesting.
But yeah, it was a wild week in the NLL. Your Roughnecks get a big win. My Wings get a big win, which was huge because they play each other this week. Rivalry week on the pod. I agree. Albany, good win for them to get back on track. It felt like, they were kind of slipping a little bit, but obviously Colorado's been slipping all season. So it was a good win for Albany. Dude, I don't know. Buffalo is kind of concerning me a little bit. And I'm not even just saying that from like their 5-4 standpoint. It's reading the reply tweets and Instagram comments of their fans. The fans don't feel like they're in it. They're talking about this team just doesn't feel like they have it this year.
Bro, I hate
not like other
like
years.
Because I'm one of them.
And I mean, it might be a little true.
Hey,
they're 5-4.
Listen, they need to stop acting like I did, right? I wrote off Jordan Love before the season even started, and then looked at me. I was like, hey, if we beat San Fran this weekend, what's up? They're going to do the same thing. They're going to get into the playoffs and be like, well, if we beat Toronto, then what's up? They just need to pump the brakes, relax. They're veteran. This team is full of veterans. Just let it be. Let it be. They know how to win. Like, especially with the unified standings at this point, it's just as simple as get into the playoffs and let everything else factor in there. This team's not going to miss the playoffs.
Can I drop who they play this week for you, though?
Yeah.
They play Albany.
Oh, I know.
Who they already lost to this year.
I say, yeah. That's probably on their mind, though.
Because right now, if the playoffs started today, 3, 4, they'd be the 6th seed in an 8-team playoff.
Right. That'd be
which
right
would mean
now. Neither one of our teams would be in.
6th place 3. So it'd be Buffalo, San Diego in the first round. Which I'm pretty sure is just a 1 game still. Are you taking Buffalo to beat San Diego in San Diego? If the playoffs started today?
Huh?
That's what the matchup would be. In a 1
game.
game.
Me?
Yes.
The good thing is the playoffs don't start today.
I know, but I'm saying, like, from a standpoint of, like, feels like this team doesn't have it. Like, if playoffs started today.
That's the problem. Everybody want to talk about it right now, like it mattered right now. It don't matter right now. It don't.
Hey, I'm just saying, we're 2/3 of the way done the season. This is the this is chapter 2 of 3.
ask me this when we 3 out of 3, because then that's when it matter. And then I'm gonna tell you yes or no. Because that's how we need to treat this sports thing. See, we be stressing ourselves out as fans. How about
I'm not counting them out. I agree. They're a playoff team, 100%. But do they have what it takes to win another championship this year is my question.
I mean, you ain't no real fan if you don't think your team can win it every year for real.
But we're not necessarily Bandit fans. We are coming from the outsider perspective. We're talking from a straight, right now. Just like
we talking for real right now.
Yes.
Oh no, they're not winning.
Because I'm pulling up their remaining schedule right now. They have Albany at home. They're at home against Albany this week. Then they're at Vancouver. Should be a win. So that should be, it's kind of coin toss, win. Then they host Saskatchewan. Should be a win. They host Toronto.
Did you say Vancouver is a coin flip?
No, the Albany game. This week against Albany is a coin flip. Depends what Albany team shows up. Do we want to count Albany as a win for them?
No.
Are we tipping picks?
No. I just thought I heard you say Vancouver.
No. Vancouver should be a win for them, is what I'm saying. Saskatchewan should be a win. Toronto, that's tough. I mean, they did just lose Challen Rogers for the next 4 to 6 weeks, which is tough.
Yeah, but
and it's at Buffalo.
Okay.
That's a coin toss. So 2 coin tosses and 2 wins. Then they're at Panther City. Should be a win. Not a guarantee, but should be a win.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're at Philly. Those 2 teams always play each other close. Not saying it's a win for the Wings or the Bandits, but that game will be close. Then they're at Colorado. Championship game rematch again. Should be a win.
Colorado. Yeah.
Then they host your Roughnecks.
They're not beating us.
And then they're at Vegas.
Because at that point, we're going to be... Hold on. Let me check something real quick. Because...
I think there's right now 2 losses on there for sure as situated. I think they lose to Toronto and potentially lose to Albany this week.
They might lose to us because we'll be coming off a 2-game stretch playing Saskatchewan.
That was one of my very close.
With the full week rest. Mm-hmm.
The Bandit schedule is not easy the rest of the way.
We got a tough stretch coming up. Georgia, San Diego, Firewolves.
Georgia.
Yeah. That's funny.
We got a tough stretch, Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you can't tell me they're not hooping right now.
Man, they're not doing something.
I mean, they 5th in the league right now?
Not
they
for
in
long.
The playoffs.
Not for long.
Who you think finna beat them?
The San Diego Seals this week.
Yeah.
Not to tip picks or nothing, but
I mean, you definitely just said that hella hard.
It was a great week in the NLL, though. The standings look like this before we keep it pushing. Albany and Toronto atop the league at 7-2. San Diego 6-3. Halifax, Georgia 6-4. Buffalo is 5-4. New York is 5-5. Panther City's 4-4. DJ's Roughnecks are 4-5. Saskatchewan's 3-4. The Wings are 3-5. Rochester's 3-5. Vegas 3-6. Colorado 3-7. And Vancouver is 2-7. Let's get to the big news, Deej. It is brought to you by our pals over at Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. And it's very ironic that we're talking about Tomahawk Shades here because they're on Long Island. And they are going to provide you quality eyewear from sunglasses to blue light glasses, ski goggles, and prescription lenses that are top tier quality for a fraction of the price of the big eyewear companies. Deej and I wear our sunglasses all the time when we're on the road. Deej wears them when he's coaching and just out and about. They are comfortable. They are perfect for any occasion. And of course, I'm rocking those blue light glasses when I'm editing, when I'm watching lacrosse on TV. And sometimes your eyes just need a rest from those harsh blue lights that are coming through all over the place. Protect them with those blue light glasses. They are stylish. They look great. They feel great. And you know this is a look good, feel good, play good podcast. And Tomahawk Shades is providing that. Plus, owners of Tomahawk Shades, Kyle Harrison, Chris Hogan, ever heard of them? Go to tomahawkshades.com or download the Tomahawk Shades app in the App Store, Google Play Store. When you go to checkout, when your cart's all filled to the gills, use code USP for 25% off your order. That's code USP at tomahawkshades.com or in the Tomahawk Shades app for 25% off your order. Deej, we had some big time news. Kind of non-traditional announcement, being that it is mid-season. Team is currently in the playoffs, but the New York Riptide are relocating to Ottawa in 2024-2025. They will begin play at the Canadian Tire Center and will be renamed the Ottawa Black Bears.
Yeah, bro.
As an OG for the New York Riptide in terms of fun rooting interest, and myself as a day one member of the media covering the Riptide, this sucks.
It does. I was like, just like really being like, yeah, I'm a Riptide fan. Like, I want to see the Riptide do well. There's no reason for them not to do well. Their jerseys are awesome. We're gonna lose that color scheme. There's something good about putting light blues with dark blues that just works. And the fact that that is leaving hurts.
Along with that orange.
But yeah, I'm sad to see the orange go as well. But there's some orange in the league still.
Yeah, just not with that full-on color scheme.
Yeah, just not with that color scheme. I'm just glad there's some red coming back. You know, the Ottawa does want to bring the red back, so that's exciting. But I guess the bigger question is, why doesn't pro lacrosse work in Long Island?
So I've talked to some people who are from the area, and we love the Riptide on this show. GF Sports and Entertainment, their whole front office. Rich Lisk is our guy. He's big time supporter from his days with the Black Wolves. We love them. Tyson Geik, the whole 9 yards. The Riptide have been phenomenal to us since their inception. And I know they'll continue to be when they become the Ottawa Black Bears, because GF Sport, as part of this, GF Sports and Entertainment is partnering commercially with Senator Sports and Entertainment. So GF Sports and Entertainment will still be part of the organization with this move. I think the thing with lacrosse on Long Island is it's not necessarily lacrosse doesn't work on Long Island. It's box lacrosse doesn't work on Long Island. I think Long Island is a traditional field lacrosse hotbed and does really well. We see that with the numbers with the PLL. We saw it with the Lizards in the MLL. We see it college-wise. We see it club, tournaments and everything, using up every field on Long Island during the summertime. I think it's box lacrosse is the issue. I think in terms of this iteration of box lacrosse on Long Island, it was kind of hindered by not having another pro sports team in the building that they were playing in to kind of like hitch their wagon to a little bit in terms of marketing, where you look around the league where you have Toronto Rock players showing up at Toronto Maple Leafs games. You have Buffalo Bandits guys going to Sabres games. You have Philadelphia Wings players at Flyers games and going cross sport for Philadelphia. You have Colorado Mammoth hitching with Nuggets, with Avalanche. You have all of these kind of connections that intertwine really well to partner. Even the Vancouver Warriors, like, they may not be successful in the win-loss record right now, but marketing wise, they have the Vancouver Canucks with them. And I think that's a huge boost for a lot of these NLL teams where it's not a Major 4 sport, especially in the US. But when you have that partnership to work with a Major 4 pro team, it helps elevate you and get you in front of those Major 4 sports teams that are in your market. And it's like, oh, let me go check them out. Like, I think one thing from a personal perspective that I get with the Wings and being in the Philadelphia market, like during Christmas time, the Flyers have Santa sacks that they give away and you can purchase. And in the Santa sacks are 2 tickets for Wings games. Obviously, it gets people in the building. It's like, oh, let's go to the Wings game. We got these tickets in our Flyer Santa sack. Let's go. You know, we've talked with a number of the Bandits players, and they get to go and experience Sabres games as part of that partnership and be in that community and be around, you know, the pro sports teams. And, you know, the Bandits are kind of an outlier because they have this massive fan base as well. But I think the lack of the pro sports team, because the Islanders moved to a different arena, they weren't there to kind of help cross promote with the Riptide. And being that it was the old building that the Islanders were playing in, it was like, why am I going to go back to the old building to go and watch a team that I don't really have a true connection with, that's not getting cross promoted with my hockey team, when my hockey team just built this fancy new palace for our squad? I'm going to go watch the Islanders there, and that's my sole purpose, to go to UBS Arena rather than go back to the Coliseum that is, quite frankly, outdated. And I think, like, from talking to people that live in the area too, like, they just didn't know that the Riptide existed. Like, there was not a lot of in-your-face type of marketing for the team to be like, come to the game, like, and visually seeing that the team was in town. And I think that also hurt them, because not only were their attendance numbers not up to standard with a lot of the other teams, their lease for the Coliseum was up at the end of this year. And I don't think it was going to get renewed because the Sands Casino is coming into that area and building like a casino town in New York now that legalized gambling is a thing. And they were going to be out of a home to begin with on Long Island. And I think it's just one of those things that Long Island is meant for field lacrosse, and they just don't have the fandom for the box game for whatever reason that is. But I think a lot of it comes into play with the intertwining of the attachment to a pro sports team to get the marketing in front of people's faces.
I don't know. I don't know. I just think if you're a hotbed, you want to watch the sport that you enjoy, regardless of like what kind of version it is. That'd be like, it's almost like saying, I don't want to watch 3-on-3 because I'd rather watch the NBA. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's still basketball. It's still lacrosse. Like, I get it, and then I understand why things fell that way, but it just seems like lazy. Like, your kid plays lacrosse, and he's like, Dad, I want to go to a pro game, and you're gonna wait until the summer when you could probably go to a Riptide game for cheaper, when all it takes is a simple Google search, pro lacrosse game in Long Island. Boom, Riptide's probably going to be the first thing that comes up. It takes 0 seconds to do that. It's like just like a lack of effort almost to me. And it's just like, if you're a hotbed, it seems like you would know what's around you. That's like, that's almost like New Jersey not knowing about the Nets back when they were still in New Jersey. Like, everybody there knows about the Nets because almost everybody there plays basketball. That's just common sense. Texas, that's like not knowing about the Cowboys and living in Texas. It's stupid. Of course you know about the Cowboys, because what else are you going to do? You watch football every day. People in New York know a lot about lacrosse. So I'm like, to just not know that they're there is just like,
I also think from the
ignorant
perspective
almost.
of the arena thing, like the
That
fact
makes
that,
more sense than anything.
like the fact that it's the old arena, it's an outdated arena. You know, the Coliseum is historic, but The fact that the Islanders
need
moved
get
to a
on.
brand new fancy palace at UBS, where you see like, the Wings play at Wells Fargo Center. That's where the Flyers play. That's where the Sixers play. People are there. They're going actively to the Wells Fargo Center. You see the Bandits are playing in Banditland. That's where the Sabres play. People are actively going there for events, for games, other than the Bandits. Same thing with the Mammoth. Like, they're going to Ball Arena for Avalanche, for Denver Nuggets games. So then the Mammoth, you see stuff there and marketed for them there. I think just the dissociation almost that there wasn't another pro team in the building and another like reason to go there, because the only other team that plays in the Coliseum right now is the G League Nets. The Long Island Nets play there. But other than that, it was them and the Riptide. And I think just the fact is like, why am I going to go back to the old arena to go watch a non-major pro, like non-major for sport, when the Islanders built this brand new arena? I'm more of a hockey guy, blah, blah, blah. I think it was the dissociation there that there wasn't more invested into the Coliseum as well, when the Riptide chose that as their home. It sucks. I'm going to be bummed not being able to go to Riptide games, and we lose that branding, which sucks. But, Ottawa's been clamoring for an NLL team for a long time. It's been since the early 2000s since we've had NLL lacrosse in Ottawa. I think it'll be good for a lot of the players who are Canadian based to be there. It does suck losing a team in the States as well. But I think it's going to be a profitable move for the league in terms of ticket sales, and that's what matters at the end of the day. And we talked about this last episode in a kind of joking matter, but the UnBOXed series in Montreal drew almost 3K fans for a one-off. It wouldn't shock me if Panther City is the next team on the move.
You think they're going to Montreal?
Montreal or somewhere that is going to draw more than what they're drawing right now, ticket sales wise.
Because one thing I really noticed is like when I watch the Panther City games on TV, they're empty.
Mm-hmm.
They're empty. It's like wild to me how
and
empty
way more empty than what the Riptide are. Having been to Riptide games in person,
right? I've only been to one
as well,
but yeah, like the Riptide game wasn't that empty. Granted, it wasn't like full and there weren't like a lot of people there, but it wasn't like empty.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Panther City might be the Grim Reaper meme where he's knocking on the doors. Panther City might be that next door. Because at the end of the day, that's how the league succeeds, is when you have ticket sales, when you have people going to games. That's how you become a profitable, type of situation as an entity, as a league, is when your markets are succeeding. You look at the teams right now. Toronto, profitable. San Diego, profitable. Halifax, profitable. Georgia, profitable. Buffalo, profitable. Albany is getting there this year and finally getting to where they need to meet at being in a lacrosse hotbed as being a successful team. Calgary, profitable. Saskatchewan, profitable. Philadelphia, profitable. Rochester, profitable. Vegas, you still have some time to build up. They're only in year 2. Colorado, profitable. Vancouver, profitable. You have ticket sales. You have people going to those arenas. The only ones that weren't really showing out, New York and right now Panther City. It's only a matter of time when the league has to step in and be like, okay, we got to make a move. I think the weird part about this too, and another reason I think that the Riptide kind of like quote unquote failed on Long Island is outside of their first year, there's not many guys from Long Island on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost that kind of like connection with the city, where you look at some of these other teams, they have guys that are either from there or living actively in those markets and are in the community, doing community outreach and connecting with the fan base. There's not many guys that are staying on Long Island after those games. And it sucks, that we lose that market, but it was kind of a foregone conclusion, I think, once the lease was up and it wasn't renewed. But Ottawa's coming into the fold. The Ottawa Black Bears. I loved our guy Hutton Jackson putting a hilarious tweet out saying 4 out of the last 5 pro lacrosse expansion teams have had a descriptive word in front of the team mascot, being the Water Dogs, the Fire Wolves, the Desert Dogs, and now the Black Bears. It was like, please stop putting adjectives in front of team mascot names. I agree. It's getting a little out of hand.
I don't mind it.
Water Dogs was cool. Fire Wolves
was cool.
Was all right. Desert Dogs felt like,
yeah, it was a stretch.
Here, you can copy my homework, but don't copy it verbatim. And it just took the Fire Wolves and the Water Dogs and like mashed them together.
Pretty much.
And now we have the Black Bears. And I know Black Bears exist in Ottawa. Those are the only Bears that exist in Ottawa. But it also is just like,
I've seen a bear before.
Right. It's just like, okay.
No, with my own 2 eyes. It was wild, bro. I'm trying to tell you.
Deej Irwin over here. Your thoughts on the Ottawa Black Bears mascot logo?
I mean, I like it already. It was kind of something similar I had in mind for if my team decided to go with Bears for our mascot, which we still haven't found a mascot for our team. But I really like what they did there. It's kind of more of almost a full body thing, kind of got the arms going. I like the idea of red. And if they do brown, like they did with the snout, I might fall over. If this team is black, red, brown, and white, I literally might fall over. Because that will be such a fire color scheme. So I'm just more intrigued by like the colors and all of the logo to see like what they pull out and what they used for jerseys and gear. Because so far the color scheme could be fantastic.
Yeah, Hutton responded to a now deleted tweet that said, it's describing the type of bear, still follows the formula. Don't dislike it as much as the others, but it just feels lazy. I agree to an extent. It is kind of like yawn. It's not like too creative. The only gripes I have with the logo are, y'all know how we feel about just placing a stick in a logo. It's got to be creative. This one is meh. What type of bear is picking up a lacrosse stick like that? It's literally like, choose your weapon. And then the one eye looks like he's either got eye paint, someone punched this bear in the eye and he's got a black eye, or he's like Junie from Spy Kids and he's got the dialed in sunglasses, because the one eye is just like fully way more darkened than the other. Or he just sleeps with one eye open and that one eye ain't getting no type of sleep and he got dark circles around his eyes and needs some eye patches. But we've seen worse logos. I think the red, gold, and black that matches the Senators is a good touch. Intrigued to see what the jerseys will look like. Like you said, I'm glad that red is back in the NLL finally. Mm-hmm. And now we have 6 teams in Canada. Does that mean we have an even Steven chance to bring the Alterna Cup back?
That is exactly what I was just about to say. That is exactly
what love of Christ.
Bring it back now. Now. Do you hear me? Now.
Like, and have some serious stakes for it. You know, we've seen the PLL Champ Series. You see these in-season tournaments in pro soccer that a lot of these get based around the in-season tournament for the NBA. As soon as more people started catching on with it, they were like, "Oh shit, this is dope." Like, put some real incentive into the Alterna Cup or whatever you want to sponsor it as, because I know Alterna Bank was like the sponsor for it. Whatever sponsor you want to get for it, bring it back.
And then do an American version.
Exactly. Because then with that, like, you're the king of Canada, and then you have the American version as well.
With and then you know what?
9 teams in the U.S.
And then you know what? That's how you just start splitting stuff. And then the American Cup winner plays the Canadian Cup winner for the NLL Cup. Whoa.
Or there's just like another like tournament.
I might have just did something there.
Or there's another like tournament for, like, you still have the regular season and everything. Some of the games matter towards the American Cup. Then you have Canadian Cup. Canadian Cup, American Cup winners play each other at some point. And then you still have NLL Cup champions.
Oh, wait, you know what? Keep it separate, right? Canadian Cup winner, American Cup winner. They play in a dead week before the playoffs start. Or like a dead week 2 weeks before the playoffs start, something like that. And the winner gets home field, like their side gets home field advantage for the playoffs.
We're conjuring things.
Because then the playoffs are split that way, like Canadian,
This
American,
is why we need
whatever.
to figure out when Brett Fruit is going to come on the podcast and pitch these ideas to him.
Man, we have so many good ideas, man.
I think the other bonus for Ottawa and a bummer for Long Island is you instantly get a top 3 player in pro lacrosse right now coming into your market in Jeff Teat.
Yep. You just got to keep him there.
Which I think
win some games.
Win
some games like they have been this year.
And ultimately, I think that's what it comes down to. Is outside of this year, the Riptide did not win games.
Mm-hmm.
You got to win.
It's hard to support a team that doesn't win.
Exactly. And that's where the lack of fan-based turnout comes from.
Unless you're from Detroit.
True. Then they come through.
They're good at doing that for a long time.
So yeah, and shout out to Ottawa Black Bears because they followed us day one of us tweeting about following us, which leads us to Deej. We have a new friend of the pod. It's about time, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. We fucking got him. It took 4.5 years, but after a long bout in social media free agency, we have finally signed the San Diego Seals at Seals Lax on Twitter to a follow back contract of OTB Lax Pod.
Which now
we
only leaves 3.
We are down to 3. Only 3 teams in the NLL do not follow the pod. That is the defending world champion Buffalo Bandits.
Which they just bougie.
That is the Toronto Rock. We have multiple friends of the pod on that team.
I don't know what that was about.
Let's see. Challen Rogers, been on the pod. Friend of the pod, Corey Small. Friend of the pod, Treasy. Friend of the pod, Tom Schreiber.
Nick
Rose. Like, what are we doing? And then
eventual friend of the pod, TD Erlin.
True. Eventual friend of the pod, Mark Matthews.
Like where your head's going.
But then, this is where the beef comes through. We have beef with an NLL team social team.
Yes,
at Georgia Swarm Lax, you've made the shit list. Which very few in the history of this pod have ever made. The Georgia Swarm had the audacity to like the tweet where we were calling out the final 4 teams that don't follow us, after a brand new team that was introduced instantly followed us, the Georgia Swarm had the audacity to like that tweet and not hit follow. I don't want us to be those guys. We also have a bunch of friends of the pod on the Georgia Swarm roster. Plus, every single week, Deej is given the Georgia Swarm free shout-outs.
Free.
Supporting the man, the myth, the legend that is Lyle Thompson, who is Deej.
Really, really good at lacrosse.
Thank you for saying the line. See that's the podcast brainwaves that we share. I'm just looking at the Georgia Swarm roster right now to list off the friends of the pod. Brendan Bonberry, friend of the pod, been on the show. Brett Dobson, friend of the pod, eventual guest on this show. Andrew Q, friend of the pod, been on the show. Jordan McIntosh, friend of the pod. John Rannigan, friend of the pod. Did I ever mention to Ed Kumo, head coach of the Georgia Swarm, follows us on Instagram?
Really?
Likes all of our posts on Instagram, no matter what it's related to?
All right, coach. We need to have a word with you.
And yet, the Georgia Swarm want to toy with the boys and not follow us. We have beef. We have beef with the Georgia Swarm. We are just going to, the initial blow up of this show started with a Twitter beef between us and a team, and it was the New England Black Wolves. You're playing hardball, Georgia Swarm. I see you. I will vouch here, Deej.
Oh.
From here on out, for this final third of the season, until they follow us back, I'm not picking the Georgia Swarm to win a game.
Oh, I'm going to run away with the picks this year.
I'm not picking the Georgia Swarm to win a game until they follow us back. If I got to stand on business like this and do what's right for the pod, I will do it. I will sacrifice some picks.
Hold on. Not just this year. You can't pick them to win a game again until they follow us.
Pending league approval. I'm looking at their schedule right now.
Who is the league?
Underground Sports Philadelphia LLC, all rights reserved. Copyright 2024.
Whoa. I'm gonna need to speak to the commissioner.
I'm feeling good about this statement though, because I'm looking at the Georgia Swarm schedule right now, Deej. They play the San Diego Seals, brand new friend of the pod. Shout out to Seals Lax on Twitter. Love them. Bang bang Seals gang. Love them. They play the Seals this week in San Diego. They also play Panther City this week. Then they play at Halifax next week. Following week, they're home against your Roughnecks. Then they host my Philadelphia Wings. Then they host my League Pass Team of the Year, Saskatchewan Rush. Then they host the Las Vegas Desert Dogs and host the Rochester Nighthawks. I feel great picking against them the rest of the year.
You do just that.
I
meant
really
beyond.
good.
I meant beyond the rest of this year.
I feel really good.
What if they don't follow?
And I need to say, this does not reflect how we feel about the players, the coaching staff, any of that. We are just at a beef with at Georgia Swarm Lax on Twitter.
I just got a beef with them on Twitter.
Same.
I'm probably still gonna pick y'all to win some games because y'all are still my League Pass Team of the Year. We just got different kind of beef.
I'm just taking.
I'm
taking the stings here for the pod.
He's soft.
I'm not soft. I'm standing on business. They want to win a game, follow the boys.
Bro, they're not the Pistons.
They could be.
They're not the Pistons. Like, they win games. They almost got as many wins as the Pistons do.
Maybe not for long.
We go see. I think they get to 8 wins before the Pistons get a 9th.
How many wins do the Pistons have? 8?
8.
I'll take the Pistons.
Yeah. Man, let me pull up the Pistons schedule. I don't.
But Georgia Swarm Lax on Twitter, we got beef.
Yeah, I got beef with them.
We got beef. You can't just like the tweet about us calling you out about not following us and then not follow us.
Yeah, they're gonna lose to the Pacers.
Like, at least
tonight.
the Bandits in Toronto Rock were like just chilling like this. They put their Twitter fingers under their armpits, stood on business, and didn't even interact with the tweet.
The Pistons don't got another chance to win until March 11th. And I don't know if they're going to beat the Hornets. Georgia
Swarm don't got another chance to win a game until...
And then they play the Wizards on March 29th. God damn.
Georgia Swarm don't got another chance to win another game until like December of 2024. The way I'm looking at it.
Hey, bro, the Pistons might really go like 9-73.
I've been there with the Sixers, bro. It is not fun. That exact record.
Bro, I'm going to take this crew neck off.
But yeah, Pistons. I'm going to start calling them the Georgia Pistons. Georgia Swarm, you got one way out of fixing this. It's been 4.5 years. The Seals repented their sins instantly. We're a big Seals Lax pod here. Big time Seals fans. Big time friends of the pod on that team as well. You want to right your wrongs, you follow the boys. With that being said, Deej, let's preview week 13. Some big time games. I believe everyone is in action this week, being that a team plays twice. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Everyone's playing in week 13. It kicks off Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time in Colorado. New York versus Colorado, which felt like, obviously it's going to come to an end, but New York versus Colorado kind of felt like one of those weird happenings of an East versus West rivalry. For a hot minute, they made that big trade with Tyson Gibson going to Colorado, and it just felt like, okay, there's some intertwinings here. Let's make this fun. Always a good matchup when those two teams play. Then we have, I'm not even going to mention them by name. We have Team Redacted versus the San Diego Seals at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Get the caffeine rolling, everybody. 11 p.m. Eastern time opening face-off on Friday for San Diego versus the Redacteds. Then Saturday slate, Vegas at Rochester at 7 p.m., Vancouver at Toronto at 7 p.m., 7:30 is Albany versus Buffalo, 8 o'clock is Halifax versus Saskatchewan, 9 o'clock is Philadelphia versus Calgary, and then 4 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday is Team Redacted versus Panther City Lacrosse Club. What you looking forward to this week? Obviously, the one that stands out to me is Rivalry Week.
I mean, I'll talk about that at the end. I don't know if it's colors that get me about this game, but Halifax, Saskatchewan is always one I like to watch.
Oh, yes. It's always high scoring, too.
It is. So that one's going to be obviously circled. Albany, Buffalo, with the way that game was early in the year and how good Albany's been playing, circled. And because Buffalo is going to be looking to get back at them. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be high stakes. San Diego is going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. But the rest of the games are kind of just meh to me. But rivalry.
I hope you know I'm in post putting a censor beep when you said that.
That's fine. You can do what you want. I'm gonna just get on there. I'm telling you right now. Quote tweet. I actually said. I'm putting it out there.
1 hour and 27 seconds.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is,
people got to figure out what you're saying, because I don't know if you saw this. Apparently, some Nickelodeon Lost files came out this week, and we found out what one of the dolphin noise sayings that SpongeBob said during Eels and Escalators.
what was it? 'Cause I didn't see.
So when he rolled the dice, and Patrick's like, Eels, SpongeBob apparently in the Lost files yells, "Blow me." Should I play it?
Please.
I'll play the audio here.
Oh my god. That should have just been played. It's not like kids would have known what "blow me" means, man.
So this is the Lost file.
Eels. Ah, blow me!
Hey, yeah, actually, I'm gonna just leave it up to them to figure it out. Oh my god, that's gonna be.
Blow me!
You should just put that over it. But in all actuality, I hope you are gonna have your phone on you, because every good thing that happens in this game, for my side, I'm either tweeting you about it or I'm texting you. So I be ready for me to talk.
You better send them an invisible ink.
Let me tell you.
Oh, you're talking about our game.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm finna talk a whole bunch of shit.
It's gonna be a good one.
Because y'all are not winning.
Pause.
You can say what you want.
It's not gonna be that easy.
Yeah. No, we rolling right now.
We're back on track right now. You saw the boys in their Hawaiian shirts in Vegas.
Oh,
that's team energy.
Homeboy wins one game in Vegas and thinks he's popping.
We hit the fucking jackpot, bro.
Bro, we have scored 18 more goals than y'all.
Okay.
It's not happening, bro.
You weren't missing your best player for 4 weeks.
Hey, did I have anything to do with that?
No, but Toronto certainly did.
Right, so
I might have beef with them too.
You do. It sounds like you do. All I'm saying is the homeboy can be back, but he's still got to get in the groove. This team's in the groove and they're balling right now. Y'all ain't got it. And I'm gonna make sure you know every time we show y'all. That's all I'm saying.
I got something in my back pocket.
I'm gonna expect some stuff to come back. I'm not worried about it. It's gonna be nice, healthy banter.
Alive, awake, alert, and enthusiastic for that one.
Oh, sure. You're old, man. I don't know if you can stay up that long.
Chill on me.
9 p.m. on a Saturday, dog. You gonna be up?
I'm ready
for 2.5.
11 p.m. for Redacted versus San Diego. That's another question.
You taking a nap?
Probably. Sleeping in too.
Whoa, that game starts at 11?
11. I said, get that caffeine ready. Get that W energy rolling.
Dog, I don't know if I'm going to watch that.
DJ, your genius is showing. Where?
Bro, that's wild.
11, bro.
11 is crazy. Crazy.
Insane.
Raise your hands if you're going to be watching that. No, I mean, like, I'm gonna put that on Twitter. Raise a hand if you watching this Georgia San Diego game. I'm gonna get 2 likes when I first tweet. It's gonna be Diggs and Brian. Everybody else is gonna be asleep on the TL already.
And maybe Alex Siegel.
Facts.
Those are the only 3 that'll be awake.
Mike,
maybe Mark.
Mark could definitely be up and watching. Yeah, that's right up his alley.
Yeah.
I always be wondering how he'd be watching everything at work, and then I'd be like, "Oh yeah, 5 o'clock game is 2 o'clock over there." Like, bro is dead in the middle of his workday.
Facts. But it is a great week of games on deck across the board, which brings us to the pick pond. It is Time to go feed some ducks.
Yes, sir.
And bring you the Week 13 NLL Beer Money Picks of the Week, powered by Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, only 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny Finder. So you've got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Maryland, and New Jersey areas. Check out their storefront as well for some awesome Kenny swag. They've got the Kelly Green crew neck and t-shirts available. St. Patty's Day right around the corner. They got the great Kenwood Beer pint glasses, awesome Kenwood classic mesh hat with the Kenny patch on there, stickers, beach towel, and of course the awesome shirts across the board. KenwoodBeer.com. Must be 21 or older to drink and enjoy. And of course, please drink responsibly. You can also get it at your local liquor stores in those markets. But like I said, 21 or older. And of course, please drink responsibly. Deej, we start off Week 13 in Colorado at the Loud House. Mammoth hosting the Riptide.
I don't trust Colorado to win whatsoever. Give me the Riptide. And it's my last year as a Riptide fan. So I can't choose against them too much.
I think the Riptide are going to be on like this farewell, fuck you tour to everybody. And they're going to win some games here in the early goings of this announcement, which is also weird that it happened mid-season. Don't ever see that happening. But I'm going to go with the Riptide as well until Colorado can prove that they can actually win a game. Then we move to 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. The San Diego Seals hosting Redacted. You already know where I'm going. It's Vamos San Diego, Bang Bang Seals gang. Big time this week. Art.
I'll take the Seals too.
Mine.
Yeah.
The game is to follow. You can't pick against them.
That one's easy for me.
Give us the Seals. Then we move to 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Las Vegas at Roch Vegas. Rochester hosting Vegas in a big-time duel. I like the home team in this one. I think Rochester gets back on track. They're at home. Fieldsy's playing great. Ryan Smith is playing great. Give me Rochester to get a dub.
I agree. Rochester is poised to kind of get a little bit of a reset here. Las Vegas has been struggling this year.
Are we on the same page? Toronto's going to be Vancouver?
Oh, yeah.
No need to really dive into that.
At all.
Best wishes and healthy recovery at Jalen Rogers. He's out 4 to 6 weeks, so that sucks for them, but Toronto still got the dogs to get it done. Then we move to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. Albany at Buffalo. Big time game for both teams.
This is actually the only one that's hard for me to pick this week. I'll take Buffalo because they're at home.
I'm going to go with Albany. Buffalo's been very back and forth in terms of consistent versus inconsistent. And my big reason for taking Albany here is they've got the man at the dot, at the stripe to get it done. Joe Nardella has been having another fantastic year for them. Buffalo hasn't been able to figure out the face-off at all this year without Max Adler. I'm going to take Joey Nards and the Albany Firewolves. We move to Saskatchewan. 8 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday. Halifax versus Saskatchewan. Thunderbirds versus the Rush. This one is hard for me because Halifax been, a little teetering back and forth a little bit, but do we pick against Derek Keenan on the bench for Saskatchewan? I think I do. I think Halifax has what it takes to get it done. Jake Withers has been playing out of his mind, and they have the goal-scoring ability to really outpace Saskatchewan right now. So give me the
they're playing really good on the offensive end. They're kind of just outscoring everyone, which is kind of the name of the game.
Everyone knows we're picking our teams to win in this respective game. Give me the Wings, give Deej Calgary, and we'll see you at the ticket booth next week. Then we have Sunday afternoon lacrosse at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Panther City playing host to Redacted. You already know where I'm going. Give me Panther City, home team. Get it done. Shout out to Donville.
Oh, LT4 and getting this one done.
That's 110.59.
Do what you got to do, big dog.
So yeah, those are the picks of the week. We both have New York, San Diego, Rochester, Toronto. I've got Albany. Deej has Buffalo. Both have Halifax. I've got Philly. He's got Calgary. I've got Panther City, and he's got Redacted. And those are your NLL Week 13 picks of the week, powered by Kenwood Beer. All right, everybody, welcome to the final day of OTB Radio here from the 2024 PLL Championship Series. Game just ended. Cannons come out on top in overtime. KB, joined by the one and only Rosie. Chris Rosenthal, finally making an appearance on the pod. It's been long overdue. We talked about this. Pumped to have you.
Yeah.
What a game. Kind of everything you could ask for in a championship. You know, overtime, back and forth, physicality. Seems like the teams don't really like each other, and that's what all you could ask for in a Philly versus Boston matchup.
Absolutely. It was a perfect recipe. You know, these guys had gone back after it in the summertime. Cannons kept that in mind heading into this one. They had some earlier matchups. You know, the whole tournament was kind of started off with a little fight between the two teams, and that whole atmosphere carried over. Big goalie saves, lead changes, just like you said, everything you possibly asked for, capped off by Matt Kavanaugh doing it again. He's just a legend for it.
He puts the K in clutch, does Matt Kavanaugh, and I think the only thing missing from this game overall was we only got about a minute and a half of Michael Sowers, which was unfortunate. Hopefully Mike is okay. Took a tough hit to the turf early on in the game, and it's kind of like one of those things where you wish you could see this game replayed with just Michael healthy and see how things would turn out, but I mean, I think the story of Champ Series overall was just the goalie play between Kirsty, DeLuca, obviously stealing the stage in net for everybody. Nick Washuta was phenomenal for the Archers. Like, the goalie play from last year to this year was on full display, and I think the talk of Champ Series.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you go into sixes format, and people wonder how much of a difference are these goalies going to make, right? Like, there's a chance that maybe they're just kind of like, you know, traffic cones getting in the way because there's so many shots coming from in close. But we saw you have a hot goalie who can really stand on his head. Like Matt DeLuca was phenomenal all throughout the tournament. And he carried that on today. And you saw some cursed responses with some great saves there. I mean, overtime saves in sixes is just, you know, phenomenal. And we saw it. Outstanding performances by those two.
You know, Brian Ullman was hired around this time last year to become the head coach and GM of the Cannons, and they were coming off a 1-9 season, kind of just down in the dumps. What is this organization? And a lot of people throughout the offseason were questioning, what is Brian Ullman doing? He's signing all these free agents, you know, kind of just building a Frankenstein monster of a roster of no real chemistry. And I think the culture that he and his coaching staff have been able to establish, and obviously this week Brody Merrill coming in as an assistant coach for him, the Cannons really trying to just, you know, put another step forward in them kind of getting back to the glory that they once saw in the MLL and trying to, you know, establish a presence as one of the top teams, which Brian Holman and Marcus Holman and Cav talked about ad nauseum in the press conference, saying that the Water Dogs are one of those teams, and you want to get to that pantheon of being one of the top teams in the PLL.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when Brian Holman got signed and decided to, you know, put his stamp on some moves, there was some criticism, you know. He brings over Adam Gittleman, who kind of emerges as a leader for the team, and they don't need to lean on him as being the goalie because they bring in another goalie for that position. You know, bring in Marcus Holman, who's obviously been a legend and obviously productive, but, you know, they do say, well, are you just bringing your son over? You know, there's that question. Then you bring Matt Kavanaugh, who also has this legendary resume, but hasn't quite been as hot in the years leading up as he was in, his earlier parts of his career. You wonder if he can keep getting it done because he has such a physical style of play. How is an older Matt Cavanaugh going to look? We weren't really sure about that. And, he admitted he had some tough times, kind of had some down times as far as his career goes, but, it always worked out to the position. Brian Holman never doubted it. I spoke with him about a year ago, and he was like, I got to get Matt Cavanaugh. You got to see this guy. He can deliver, absolutely. And, he was right.
Sean Quirk lives on with this organization. He made the trade for Cav. And, I think the other thing to take away from this now is the Water Dogs now lose the regular season championship. They lose the championship series title. And I think Andy Copeland said it perfectly. Like, this is not our identity, is losing championships. We won in 2022, and I think the fact that they've been able to get to 3 out of the 4, obviously they were the anomaly, a world champion not playing in the inaugural championship series because they were the 5 seed, but they continued to make their way into these championship games. That's the culture they have established. They have a core that is put together for the next couple of years. They have some free agent decisions, like he said in the post-game press conference. But they also had some young guys step up, and is going to make it's one of those things that it's like it's a good, evil to have where you have to make these decisions. But Kyle Borda stepping up with a massive 2-pointer in this game. Jack Trainer had a phenomenal week. Connor had a phenomenal week for them as well. And then obviously Matt DeLuca this week was the star of the Water Dogs across the board, just kind of pulling out his own inner Dylan Ward and learning from his guy. And, Cope talked all week about they talk all week, no matter if Dylan's playing NLL and obviously DeLuca's here, they're game planning together, and I think that relationship is so important for those guys. And, it's another decision that Cope, it's a good decision to have. Jason Rose also played very well in this. Sure. Dylan Ward's a free agent. Did Matt DeLuca show you enough to hand the keys over, or do you bring Dylan Ward back for another year?
It's really interesting. They all spoke really highly about Dylan Ward's impact, of course, on the field and off the field. He's just is a sort of a role model for Matt DeLuca and a lot to learn from. You do get down to the situation. There's numbers involved. There's going to be money, contract years, and things like that.
Home cities now.
Home cities, yeah. Dylan Ward is definitely one of the most fascinating free agents. We'll have to see what he actually ends up doing when he puts pen to paper on that. But I think overall what the Water Dogs kind of established is win or lose, PLL championships go through the Philadelphia Water Dogs. You're going to have to beat them if you want that. Losing this one, losing in the summer, obviously that was really tough on them. It's the worst kind of deja vu. These 1-goal championship losses, and this one particularly in overtime like this. But like we said, if you want the championship, you're going to have to beat the Philadelphia Water Dogs.
And I think now with the added emphasis of these 2 losses, you have 7 other teams that are going to have to look out for an even hungrier Water Dogs team this coming season, going to home cities, having their homecoming for an actual Philadelphia regular season game. And you heard it all week in the stands. Big-time Water Dogs crowd, big-time Cannon supporters here as well. The Water Dogs have a fan base, and they're going to get behind them. You saw the Water Dogs support group out here too, which was awesome. And I think this week kind of culminated as the first time seeing those true fan dedications. The atmosphere was unbelievable for this game. Brian Holman talked about it. It was the most tense he's ever felt coaching in a game, and he's coached in a multitude of championship games. But this really felt high octane, high energy, high adrenaline, and just high pressure across the entire game. It never got to a 3-goal lead, I don't think, after that first quarter. It was back and forth, and the energy in that dome was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think maybe it's part of how the St. James is set up. The fans are right on top of the field, and they are obviously knowledgeable lacrosse fans. They've already assembled into their city rivalries, their city affiliations. You had a huge Boston fan base here, a huge Philadelphia fan base here, going back and forth in the crowd. The move to get home cities, it's obviously one that's met with, is it too early to do that? Are there not enough teams? Are people going to be left out? But they do have to feel rewarded seeing the kind of affiliation and these fans, really embracing their their regional teams right now.
Yeah, I mean, an electric overtime game. It was, like we said, everything you could have asked for and then some. I did see the one discussion online with overtime in this format in particular being, is it too quick of a pace and a format to be a golden goal? Should it be, a 3-4 minute overtime? It's an interesting discussion to have. I would love to pick Mike and Paul's brain about that. But it is something to kind of think to when it comes to the Olympics as well, in a format that is so fast paced and you're going to be going back and forth. Does golden goal really determine? It's very much like the NFL where they had the overtime and it was sudden death, and then playoffs come around and they finally switched it to where each team gets a possession. Does a 3-minute overtime kind of quantify as the lacrosse equivalent to each team getting a possession?
Right. Yeah. It's a difficult sort of balance. Like, I understand the point of view being like, well, listen, we want these games in specific times. We need to know when it's going to end, when it's going to start. For TV, for like Olympics sort of thing. It's just more appealing to package it to sponsors or everything if you can give a specific time. So I get where they're coming from with that, but I also get the side where you're like, well, you've seen this back and forth game for 4 quarters, and one guy's going to win a face-off and come down. All of a sudden, the game's over. It could feel like a letdown. But I would also counter with like, there's sort of a harsh, unforgiving side to, well, don't let it get to overtime. Like that's the rule. That's what's in place. You don't have the opportunity to necessarily answer. So, if it does get to overtime, it could be it for you. You might not get a chance then. You got to take advantage of the time you do have. So,
Kieran McCardle wins the golden stick, immediately gives it away to a fan. He felt like he wanted nothing to do with that, and this is 2 straight years now where golden stick award winner comes from the losing team. He's the golden stick first. Comment, but I think seeing Kieran respond the way he did, that's just the ultimate competitor that he is, and just the want to win that is inside. Number 6 is next level. It's close to nobody that is out there on the field. And, you saw it in the press conference where he didn't even want to give an opening statement because, he just wants to win. That's the end-all, be-all for him. Winning is what matters. Winning with these guys is what matters. He's the captain of this team for a reason, and you could just see the emotion on Kieran's face throughout, the trophy presentation, knowing that if I would have hit that shot and he said it himself, we could have been the ones on that stage.
Yeah, like I said, back-to-back sort of uncomfortable moments in the trophy presentation where you have the one member of the losing team who has to kind of stand up in front of everybody and, take sort of an individual accomplishment. A lot of these guys really don't want to dwell on individual accomplishments anyway, but let alone when the rest of their team is, suffering in the locker room. You kind of have to be out on an island by yourself there. But Kieran McCardle, as far as, competitors go, he's one of the ones we've seen throughout the years where you just know his intensity, right? And you know how hard he's fighting for these wins. But I think it kind of is a testament to this Sixes format, Championship Series format. Still pretty young, but you can tell how bad players do want to win it. There's nobody who's saying, oh, well, this is just, a winter thing to get together and, have fun with your teammates. These guys really, really want to fight and win these games. I think we saw that today with the physicality as well.
And it's really turning into, we talked about this a couple weeks ago when we saw each other at the Wings and Halifax game, like the Champ Series is kind of really evolving into what Champions League is in professional soccer. Like the teams that are sitting at home right now have been texting guys all week long, like, I need to be there next year. I need to be there next year. And it's like, it's becoming a bragging rights thing to even just get here, but let alone being able to put that trophy in your trophy case at the end of the day, like the now Denver Outlaws have and now Boston Cannons. That's something that's on your resume. That's a banner that's going to fly forever, and multiple teams don't have that honor.
Yeah, it is something, and this was, I think, something that Paul and Mike Rabel kind of spoke to. It is sort of a relegation feel. These teams want to earn the right to be here, and they want to be in the top 4 in the regular season so they can compete for this honor. And winning this trophy has clearly meant a lot to them. And if the Water Dogs had won this, they would have been the first team to win both indoors and out, and that would have been something that they could kind of hang their hats on. And they'll have to, I guess, try again next year. Maybe they'll be able to do it then. We'll see. We'll see if the Cannons win the championship this year and they can pull it off. But there's a lot of history still to be made in this sort of league, and so it means a great deal to the players.
And that's the fun part about the PLL across the board. Summer's only 3 months away before training camp in Albany, which is exciting. Rosie, let everybody know where they can follow you and catch all your coverage of everything you're doing with Inside Lacrosse and across the board.
Yeah, just InsideLacrosse.com. You can see all the PLL coverage we'll be putting together over there. Catch me on Twitter at ChrisRosie22 as well.
congrats to the Boston Cannons on a hard-fought win. And this has been OTB Video from PLL Champ Series 2024. We'll catch you guys on the pod. But until then, we'll see you then. What is going on, OTB Nation? It's OTB Radio Day 2 here from the PLL Championship Series. I'm joined by your title?
Senior Director of Ticketing and Fan Experience.
Danny Passovoy with us. Very excited to have you on. A lot going on with ticketing and fan experience this week. Wanted to start off, kind of hitting on one of the bigger announcements earlier this month, I would say, with the homecoming passes.
Yeah.
Excitement level with that. What are fans what should they expect from the homecoming pass and kind of being the first ones to buy into their home teams, you know, essential season tickets?
This is excitement is through the roof, not just for the fans, but me personally. It's a really, really rare opportunity to take a team, take a stadium, and create what that experience looks like for fans on site. So for Atlas and Albany, there's never been momentum before, so how does that show up? There's never been like full signage and wrap of the stadium. And for fans who are Atlas fans in Albany, to be able to use this opportunity to build better community and feel that in the stadium for their team, because in the past it's been, you look at the stands and 8 different jerseys on kids, and that's amazing because they're developing better relationships with players and all of that. But now to be able to see it and see all Atlas fans in the stands and a goal and defense chance, that kind of stuff is going to be really cool. And for season tickets, what does it look like for us? And knowing that we're only going to be there once, it's hard to create something that exactly uniform to what like the Yankees would do or something like that. So what's our version of it? It's making sure that pricing is staying affordable, that we're not burning a hole in anyone's wallet, but that you have your same seats every year, you have unique connections to teams, and much more is going to be rolled out. But I think it's going to be really exciting for fans.
We've seen over the years kind of the markets that you guys have traveled to embrace certain teams. Obviously, the past couple of years, Philadelphia full send embracing the Water Dogs, 2019 in the playoffs, Ohio embracing the Redwoods. Now they're in California. To kind of have that exposure across, different markets and everything, to see that come to life with all of the markets you guys now have with the home cities. How exciting is that for you?
It's really cool, and it's actually great that you bring up the Ohio example back in 2019, because a lot of what we do now is predicated on that. That was, I think, I was here February 2019, so I've seen the whole kind of thing, and that event in Columbus was the first time that we had a major group of people supporting one team. I think they're all there for either Sergio or Nat or something along those lines. And it was a giant crowd of people, all Redwoods. And our thought process is, how do we recreate that? And homecoming markets allowed that. So we think of that example all the time, actually.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it was like, you kind of remember that happening, and it's like, okay, that was a moment. And then, the past couple years at Subaru Park, where you see like the Water Dogs flags flying like it's a soccer game almost, and seeing Philadelphia kind of embrace what the Water Dogs, are and have come to be. How exciting is it to kind of embrace that market where Philadelphia has been a huge spot for you guys?
It's the coolest. My parents live in LA. They were able to come to LA All-Star in 2019 and then San Jose All-Star in 2021. And they hadn't been to an event since, so they flew across the country for the championship, saw it, and their seats were plastered right in the middle of the Water Dogs section. So now they're giant Water Dogs fans because they got to meet all these people and enjoy it. But having already like existing relationships between fans and their teams is really cool. And to be able to play a role in what this next phase of that looks like is really great. And we've done a lot of work to understand that community, do surveys, reach out, and like really figure out like what do they connect to? How do we build locality in? What kind of food should we have on site? What kind of cheers should we do? How do we integrate with other teams so that it always feels authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest challenge, but also the biggest opportunity is how do you make it feel like this is your team, proud to wear it across your chest, even though we're only there once. And that's going to pop up in different ways, not just on their like on-site experience, but also what else we do in the community, how we connect to nonprofits, how do we connect to youth, how do we create opportunities for fans to spend time with players outside of this event weekend. So you're going to see a whole lot more get rolled out in that way, but what's most exciting is what it's going to feel like on site.
And to have, you know, an event like the Champ Series, have 4 teams for the first time representing those markets in a centralized place, how big of a weekend is that for you guys to kind of capitalize on these 4 markets, the fans that are here, and trying to get them, you know, tickets and have them show up for their homecoming weekend for their favorite team?
It's crazy. I was sitting with our COO the other day on Wednesday, and we were like sitting on the field for runouts, and they were like the California Redwoods. And just hearing it for the first time live and in person is absolutely bonkers. And I think that we're underscoring what that moment is, the first time that that team is actually legitimately playing as their home team for the first time. So it's really great to build affinity. It's really great to get those audience starting to get involved, follow their team. The Philly Water Dogs are all over social right now, so it's really been cool, and to have this type of event where we can start to showcase these teams and build better affinity is really cool.
And, you know, you look at this, and obviously it's the top 4 teams who make it for the Champ Series. How much do you think the 4 teams who missed out are missing out on such a huge event like this, and like kind of like chomping at the bit to know like next year we got to be here?
We heard it all last year, first Albany weekend, and when we were on site, it's funny because just over the 4 years, I've gotten to know a lot of these players, and like on the ticketing side, we take care of all their families, so we really know them, and they're texting me throughout this event, they're texting me throughout the event last year, like, I gotta get there. Like, this is just way too cool, and it's additional money in their pocket, right? So it's cool to be at like the St. James in a place like this in which we get to fully create what the experience looks like, from suites to bar down to Premier Zone, what's on the video board, way more so than most other events. But it's very cool to have this type of event. The players love it, not just the environment, but the pace of play and sixes. So we definitely hear from them after.
And, you know, you look at just the home markets and being able to tap in ticket-wise, going into that, how pivotal was the feedback from the fans to know where, you know, they wanted their teams to end up, and kind of collecting that data and sifting through all of that? How much of a process was that for you guys on the ticketing side?
It was huge. We spent a lot of time, and the short is like there's just no perfect answer. At some level, some folks, some cities are going to be disappointed, and our goal is to get there, so that we're hitting every location, and certainly like fan bases that we've been to before that have a really strong passion for the PLL. Our goal is to get to that next phase, and right now let's just do these 8 right and make sure that we're growing this thing organically, we're building the right relationships locally, and creating that pathway to add more is really exciting. And for the ones that did get a home team, the excitement is through the roof. And for the ones who didn't, we're coming. But we got to make sure that we get these right.
And, you know, one of the things that stood out to me on the schedule this year, obviously, you have the 2 neutral site games of places that have been fantastic turnouts, I would say, just from attending Fairfield every single year has been unreal. But then also, for the first time, going back to Louisville for the All-Star game back-to-back years. What has that market been like? It feels like such a unique, like, space to go to for lacrosse, not really mentioned in the breadth of lacrosse, really, but last year's All-Star game seemed like a wild success. To go back to the same spot back-to-back years, how has that kind of relationship in Louisville kind of formed out ticketing-wise and just, you know, fan turnout-wise in a market that's kind of non-traditional?
It's a great question, and I think that we had a strong inclination that it was going to perform well. We had existing relationships. The local sports tourism board and mayor were incredibly great to work with. So they helped make introductions, and we had some relationships in the area, but I don't think that we expected just the pop in immediately. And it's always interesting when you're considering an existing hotbed versus a place that is like really growing in lacrosse and really hungry for it. It's like for the hotbeds, like we really try and like do things the right way and build relationships, but the community's already really large. For Louisville, when was the last time that they had like something substantial come to their city for lacrosse in particular, and apologies if there has been, but the feedback was so strong right out of the gates, and they were so appreciative and hungry for it that our decision was like, let's continue to reward that and appreciate their loyalty and elevate this event year over year. Coming back to the same city means a lot. Building relationships year over year means a lot, and rewarding folks who are like in it with us from the beginning and wanted to hop on board. Like, we're excited to go back and excited to see those people again.
And it feels the same way for those two neutral site games, too, with Fairfield, with Minnesota, two spots that have had wild success, have had a ton of turnout from fans across the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Those markets feel like they're just, like, chomping at the bit, and I feel like they're excited to at least be on the schedule again this year and kind of prove that, hey, we may have missed out on a home team, but don't forget about us.
100%. I mean, both of those venues in particular are amazing, but the audiences in both of them are just all in PLL, and to be able to work with people like that who are so collaborative, and I'm talking like the youth lacrosse scene from rec to club, it's just like permeates at every level, like how much passion they have for lacrosse, like how excited they are to grow the game in those areas. Fairfield is a whole different story, but the crowd itself is so passionate about it, and to be able to like go back to those types of places really matter. But Fairfield in particular is one that's so fun. It's just the perfect size for us. The crowd is always into it. And Minnesota is always a great audience, but the venue itself is also so premium and so nice, and they're great to work with that. For the players, a lot of the time we balance, all right, what is the right opportunity, right size stadium for the PLL? What is the right size opportunity to make sure that it's a great crowd and that we're growing every year, but also like what is experience for the players? And when you go to a venue like TCO in Minnesota, where the Vikings, practice and everything like that, the facilities are just beautiful. And for the players, hotels right there, you walk right to the stadium. It just fits the mold in every kind of way. So we love those places. We're going to continue going back as often as we can.
Philadelphia on the regular season schedule for the first time this year, too. How do you kind of, not temper expectations, but, differentiate your expectations from going to a venue in Philadelphia at the University of Villanova versus the traditional Subaru Park the championship has been held, where a semifinal's been held, and kind of, managing the ticketing experience there with a different stadium in a market you've been to before?
It's one that I'm super excited about. When I look at the calendar right now and where we're going to go and where home teams are going to land, that's maybe the one that I have on the calendar that I'm most excited about. Not just because of Villanova. We went on a site visit there maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's just perfect. Like there's so much that we can do with that stadium and how it's going to look and feel, but also the community in Philadelphia and how excited that they've been. And you mentioned homecoming passes earlier. We have just an incredible amount of support right off the gate for the Water Dogs, and what we get to create on site and what we get to create for their experience is amazing. And we've partnered with a great tournament out there with Victory that 250 teams playing games right there. So I'm tempering my own expectations, but I'm really excited for that one and what we're going to be able to do.
And I mean, the entire schedule is in that PLL app, and download the app.
Definitely download the app.
And you can redeem code OTB, POD, OTB pod in the app for 500 XP this week during Champ Series. 500 XP is a lot.
It's a lot of XP, and we haven't fully announced this yet. Probably feel comfortable to do so here, but homecoming passes also come with additional XP. So you got a deposit. You also get some XP toward toward PLL Nation and much more to come.
So keep locked in, get your tickets
Yes.
for the upcoming season. Enjoy Champ Series. Use code OTBPod. Danny, thanks for hopping on OTB.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and excited for a few more days of great games.
Deej, let's shift to some sixes action. The Boston Cannons are 2024 PLL Championship Series champions in what I would say a new era instant classic. Champ Series was unreal, absolute doozy of a time. Did radio every single day, quick hits, long form. It was great. Big thank you to Mike and Paul, Grace Hamilton, the GOAT, and everybody at the PLL for allowing us the space, allowing us the time, the availability to be on location every single day, to conduct interviews every single day. It was an absolute blast. Had the time of our lives doing it, and just a really awesome time down at the St. James. You got to get there next year, Deej. We're gonna get you there because it is like the perfect like mid season point from the PLL championship in September to before the season starts. It's the perfect like media meetup with everybody. You see the homies, you catch up with the fellas. It's a great time. And it was great lacrosse from the obvious Champ Series going on. The Unleashed Women's Lacrosse All-Star game was awesome. The Cannons take it home in overtime against the Water Dogs. The only gripe I have with the game is that I wish we could have seen it with Michael Sowers healthy the entire time, because then it would have really been the two healthiest teams to make it out of Champ Series going toe-to-toe. I think the offense would have been a little different, if not a lot more different for the Water Dogs, because obviously everything kind of goes through Michael Sowers. As Sowers goes, sometimes the Water Dogs will go, and it helps the other guys get in a groove. So I wish we would have seen more than a minute and a half of Michael Sowers in the championship game. But all the credit to the Water Dogs to lose the face of your team, arguably your best player, that soon into the game, and still claw back from being down 4 goals after the first quarter, get back into it, have a 2-goal lead, force it to overtime, and be within a missed shot of potentially winning the whole thing. That's a hell of a credit to the guys on that team, to Andy Copeland, the whole coaching staff, to just have the guys in a mindset of like, all right, it's next man up. Let's keep this rolling. Let's play for Michael. He's on the sideline watching us. We got to go out there and battle for our boy. The Dogs played phenomenal. So much fun to watch. They are built for sixes. Cannons were built for sixes. I think the 14, we talked about this when they qualified. The 4 teams that qualified were so much fun to watch in this format. And the more that Champ Series continues to progress and evolve, there's guys getting texts from the 4 teams that missed out saying, I need to be here next year. I need to be in this. Champ Series is starting to mean something to these guys. And I think it's not only from a monetary standpoint, because obviously the guys are making money to be playing in this, but like they want to fucking win. They want to bring home that trophy. They want to celebrate with the homies and part of the minimalized roster that is the Sixers roster. Right before our eyes, Champ Series is turning into a real big time event.
I mean, people just like playing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just giving them another opportunity to play on the biggest stage. They just want to play. And like you said, they want to win. Everybody wants to win. Nobody wants to lose. Everybody wants to play and win. And some people feel like they're helpful in the full 10v10 game, but are much more advantageous in a 6v6 style. Some people are like, I am a two-way midfielder. Like, it's criminal we couldn't see Zach Currier because he's playing for the Roughnecks. Like, he would dominate this kind. And there's other players like him that are kind of just in the player pool or on some of the teams that didn't qualify that are like, look, I am what this, style needs. I want to be there. Let's figure out how to get there. Like, that's what you want. It is for everybody to always want to be active in whatever you're doing with the league.
Yeah. And it was cool seeing some of the guys who weren't playing were on location as well. Trevor Baptiste was there all week for the weekend. Cross Ferraro was there. So it was cool seeing some of the guys taking it in that haven't gotten a chance to play or won't get a chance to play due to NLL obligations. Kind of just enjoying the week and being there. I think more so this year too with Champ Series, the guys who were brought in strictly for Champ Series at the beginning of it really left their mark on their teams and on the league, from Ronan Jacoby to Ricky Miezon, Nate Solomon, Kyle Borda, Jack Trainer. The list goes. I mean, at the final day for the Archers, Tommy Palasek from the Clouds coming through, like the guys who you don't traditionally hear about made their mark. And I guarantee you, I'm going to say this right now without any conclusive evidence, Ricky Miezon is going to be on the California Redwoods roster week 1 of the PLL season. They absolutely loved him. He fit the vibe and the culture of that team. The guys loved playing with him. It sucked that he got injured. But Ricky Miezon is going to be a California Redwood when free agency opens, if not sooner, because I don't know how the negotiation rights work because he was on the roster. I don't know how that kind of comes into play with when they can negotiate with him. He's going to be on a PLL roster. Ronan Jacoby is going to be on the Utah Archers or someone's roster this season.
He
and
should
that
be.
is 100%. And that is the cool part about Champ Series as well, is you get guys coming in who aren't traditionally on these teams, but if
Have
they make a
nothing to
mark,
lose.
they have nothing to lose.
But everything to gain.
And it's all like Kyle Borda hits a clutch 2-pointer in the championship game. That was like balls of steel type of shot and just injected new life into the Water Dogs. And guys couldn't stop talking about Kyle Borda. They couldn't stop talking about Jack Trainer, Jeff Connor, like these guys who made a mark on those teams. And, there's 4 teams sitting at home as well that are watching this and saying, oh, those guys could make an impact on our squad as well. That's the cool part about Champ Series from just a GM hat standpoint. So shout out to those guys. And in the future, near future, I do have confirmation. I can say this. Ronan Jacoby will be coming on the show.
That's going to be hype.
Stoked for that.
I can't wait to talk to him.
Also have confirmation at some point. Once we get scheduling all figured out, Christian Scarpello will be coming on the show.
Big Scar. That's going to be fun.
Stud. Cannons win it. Kirsty stood on his head. DeLuca stood on his head all week. You had to be like a proud dad at home.
Oh, dude, I was so hyped. Fist pumps and everything flying, bro. I was going crazy, especially because I had him and Kirsty on my fantasy team. My fantasy team did really well. One person beat me in fantasy for the whole week. It was, bro, take a wild guess at who it was. Chris. He's the only one. And it was because I don't even know what I could have did differently. Because he would have tied me. Oh, I guess, yeah. He would have tied me up because he had Sowers too. Sowers going down kind of capped my points. But oh well, I beat everybody else at 1,091 points.
I had like mid 900s, I think.
974, yeah.
Oh, even better than I thought. But yeah, Champ
you did
Series. Champ Series. It was really cool too from this perspective. Like Cannons win, Shipping Up to Boston is playing, all that kind of stuff. Water Dogs, every game, bro, came out to Uptown Vibes, which was ultimate vibes. They beat the Archers. They had Dreams and Nightmares playing in the locker room. I was like, oh, they are Philadelphia's team. Here's the cool part. And I talked about this on Underground Sports Philadelphia with Pitsy too, which was fun. Obviously, coming into like the PLL and not knowing shit about dick about lacrosse, I was like, I'm gonna be a Redwoods guy. You know, that's the team I'm gonna gravitate towards. I will always have love for the Redwoods. Like, that's not gonna change with city affiliation. Like, I want the Redwoods to succeed. I want to see them win a championship one day. Those are the homies. Nat St. Laurent, big time homie. Chris Collins, big time homie. But obviously, when you have a team come into your city, you adopt them. Adopt, don't shop. I adopted the Water Dogs as well. You know, those are and even before they were Philly's team, like we did the first ever interview after Andy Copeland got hired by the PLL and by the Water Dogs on our show. We did his first ever interview. Not part of my take, not anyone. It was us. OTB got that exclusive. You know, Kieran McCardle, we championed him from the clouds, saying this guy is underrated. He's not appreciated. People need to appreciate his greatness. And he recognized that to us in a press conference, which was crazy.
He did.
You know, you've been Matt DeLuca stan since day one, which is crazy looking back because we were doing that fun thing when the fellas sit around and just talk about past drafts. We were doing that this week. And people forget Matt DeLuca was a second-round pick in a 2-round draft.
He was.
Might be one of the greatest steals of PLL draft history ever.
Slid in and grabbed him like
4 guys remain from that 2020 draft. Grant Ament, Brian Costabile, Matt DeLuca, Reese Eddy.
Dang, the rest of that draft is SOL, huh?
Yes.
Crazy.
You've been DeLuca stan since day one. Dylan Ward has been our dude, friend of the program. Christian Scarpello, our guy, homie. Eli Gobrecht, our guy, friend of the pod, big time supporter of everything we do. The Water Dogs, like, they adopted us just as much as we adopted them into our, like, being our homies. It was really fucking cool this week, though, Deej, being there, hearing Philadelphia get said, and, like, my inner Philadelphia fan was on display mentally from, like, let's fucking go, boys. Like, let's go win a chip. Like, let's go and win these games. Let's go dominate the way that Water Dogs lacrosse plays. And it was that true feeling of, like, I have a team in my city to root for full force. And it was like the coolest feeling. It was like fucking Avatar: The Last Airbender with the fucking turning into the Avatar, like fucking Yugi Moto and Yu-Gi-Oh transforming into the Pharaoh. Like, that's what it was like when the Water Dogs ran out on the field. I turned into the fucking Pharaoh from Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was ready to fucking duel. I was like, let's go. Like, I was ready to run through a brick wall for the boys. And it was just such a cool feeling. And it, like, solidified in my brain, not only from just like a fan standpoint of the league and wanting to see the league succeed, but from what I'm sure everyone was feeling that was a fan of those 4 teams, getting to rep your city or your home market for the first time was awesome. And I think the league nailed it when to roll out the home cities at the perfect time. They had the fan supporter groups out in full force. And I learned something doing a little social media searching. The top dog from the Water Dogs support group, Face Paint Flag, bro, he's from South Jersey. He's right in our backyard.
That's fire.
He goes to Rowan.
That's fire. We got to turn that up.
I was like, let's go. It was awesome. Libby Vandal, shout out, had all the supporter groups out for like supporter group like boot camp at Champ Series, which was really cool. It was just such a cool feeling. And like seeing my mom, like CFO Margie was on the sidelines there helping out all week. And like, she was like, come on, dogs. Like, she was rooting hardcore for the Water Dogs. She's the biggest Andy Copeland fan in the world now. It was just super cool to like have that sense of fandom and belonging to a home market for the first time. And I'm sure fans of all 4 markets felt that way. And I'm sure it felt great for Cannons fans to have them back as Boston's team. Philly, I'm telling you, get behind this Water Dogs team. They are fun. Deej and I can speak from just like personal experience and knowledge. They are a team worth rooting for. They're going to be here. They're going to compete every fucking year, and they're not going away. Like, they are setting the gold standard for what it means to be one of those like elite echelon teams in the PLL. But shout out to the Cannons. Brian Holman has turned that team around in an unbelievable fashion. Shout out to Chris Collins. Did a damn great job as acting head coach for the Redwoods. And shout out to the Archers. They didn't quit ever. You know, they had guys go down, had guys coming in, balling out for them. They never quit. And we had Piper Bond on OTB radio this week for a nice little like 5-minute segment. You're going to hear from Piper right now, and you're going to get the full-blown origin story of Tony Resch's ice cream parties and what it meant to win a championship in his first season in pro lacrosse. Here's Piper Bond on OTB radio. All right, everybody, welcome back to OTB Radio right here at PLL Championship Series. A little two-parter here for day 2, as I'm joined by world champion from the Utah Archers, Piper Bond. Piper, thanks for hopping on the show. You are the first member of the Archers ever to be on video on the pod. So I'm bragging right for every one of your teammates. Your only other teammate that's ever been on the show was Ryan Ambler during the 2020 bubble. He called in.
It's a good guy to be on here.
Yeah. First ever on videos. Thanks for hopping on. What's it been like, this little championship run? You're going to be the world champion first year in the league.
Yeah.
What was that kind of, high like, and now kind of living as an overall champion?
For sure. It was really cool. I mean, the group of guys was, being a rookie, being Connemar, and Mike Sisselberg, Cam Wires. They brought all 4 of us in right under their wing. Moving up to New York, Ryan Ambler was great. Same deal as showing me the ropes up there, man. But it was great with the guys. Obviously, a ton of talent playing with guys like Tom Schreiber, Brett Dobson, all our guys down in defense. So it was pretty cool to bring it all together. I'm glad we were able to pull it out. And, we can say they were champs forever, which is pretty cool.
Exactly. I mean, coming into Champ Series now, a little bit of a target on the back, being the defending champs, but coming in, it's a lot of young guys on this team, not really familiar too much with the sixes format. What are some things you guys learned from Game 1 on Wednesday night against the Water Dogs that will help you, kind of progress through the rest of round robin to kind of get your feet going and being ready for the fast pace that is sixes?
Yeah, it's we didn't scout much before our first game. We kind of just rolled out balls and put the cleats on and said, let's go figure it out. So it's fun to watch a bunch of film yesterday, kind of get more than X's and O's a little bit, both offensively and defensively, coach. We had a little bit more scouting before coming against the Cannons today. It was all in to a bunch, we want to try to press that. But it's more like hoops, so we're trying to do that, coming up, obviously getting a lot, usually playing a lot of defense, right? So it's a little different, it's tighter, play a little box, try to, I think that might translate, but obviously get down the cage and try to get some shots up too. But it's up and down, it's fast, it's a lot of fun, so hopefully we can get some momentum going the next couple of days.
Coming in, as a rookie, it's not often that you and a fellow rookie catch a grouping nickname. You guys got dubbed the Pups by Coach Bates. How was it when navigating through a season together as rookies at a position where the Archers had, two iconic members of their team, and you kind of were there to, fill those shoes down to be there at the short safety midi position? What was that like for you, knowing that there was that transition period, and then you guys kind of going full force together to build up the short stick unit?
Totally. And Mar, I've known for a long time. We played together in FCA, high school football together, and Scout football to Gilman. He obviously had a great career in Carolina, kept in touch, and then to be able to play together this summer was awesome. We rooted almost every weekend, and so it's a lot of fun. I tried to pick up some things from him in college, and so out here, the way he's super patient, he obviously had a couple goals, and was awesome. I think give the Trail Harris a ton of credit too. He was a great mentor for both of us. But it was just a lot of fun being able to strap up and go out there with him. now Mark being back here too is great. So hopefully we'll have a good run here, stay healthy, get a couple years out of us.
Get a little insight from you here. What are the Tony Rush ice cream parties?
It's a little pregame ritual now. I guess the first one was in Ohio, at Columbus. Like we walked like 15 minutes to some McDonald's, and it was like closed. We had to go through the drive-through window. You know, everybody gets these big old flares. But it's pretty cool. It's definitely something to look forward to. Keep guys along.
What are you most looking forward to now that you guys are the Utah Archers, kind of playing for a home fan base and a home city?
It's cool. You know, I mean, it's the travel thing. I guess it's still around to be attached to a location. Like, I'm a big football and big Bears fan. Like, if we can have similar systems, if we can develop something similar to that out in Utah, it's a beautiful place. There's games around out there. I think it's really cool. So hopefully we have a good impact over the next couple of years.
I'm sure you use the PLL app quite a bit. This week, the PLL has hooked us up with an NXP code. Use code OTBPOD. Redeem that code in the app, you get 500 XP. You can keep up with Piper, all the stats for Champ Series, and follow along with the Archers all season long. Piper, thanks for hopping on that TV.
Good to see you.
Shout out to Piper and Danny Passovoy for hopping on OTB Radio this week. I learned a lot about ticketing, and you got a sneak peek if you get those homecoming passes, what it means in PLL Nation to get those bad boys. But Champ Series was awesome. Deej, I know you were watching from home. What was your overall take from last year to this year of Champ Series? And is the golden stick cursed?
I don't know that it's cursed, because I think Kieran would have won it if they had sours. I think that changed a lot. We'll just have to see next year, pretty much on that point. But it just looked like people were having a lot more fun than they did last year. It just looked a little more like laid back, but still serious at the same time, which I found like pretty cool. Because it's like, yeah, you want to win, and yeah, you want like the extra money and stuff, but it's also just like a reward for being good during the regular season. It's a 1 week time to be back with the bros and have fun. So it's nice to see the teams have fun. That was like my biggest takeaway from watching at home.
And I think we have our second entrenched rivalry in the PLL. Obviously, the OG rivalry will exist from the inception of Whipsnakes Redwoods. But now that that's cross country, California, Maryland, how much that will come into play, how much they'll play each other, I think Cannon's Water Dogs got stamped with that seal of approval of a rivalry this week. Those two teams, from being in the building with them, they do not like each other. And it is so evident. And it's not even just like on the field. They don't like each other.
Hey, it don't take long for those kind of things to fester. Like,
especially when you got those home markets being Philly and Boston and that historic, geographic rivalry there.
That just adds fuel to the fire.
And, it's fun that they were the two expansion teams into the PLL as well. But I think that's going to be Eastern Conference rivalry. Must watch. Get your popcorn ready, because it is brewing. Like, that brewed over from the playoffs when the Water Dogs won 17-6 to this Champ Series, and even in the regular season, like, they dogged the Cannons, no pun intended. It's going to be must-see TV, I think, when those two teams play. And Joe Keegan put it out, too. He said, is Cannons Water Dogs the best rivalry in the PLL?
No.
I think it could get there. I don't think it's there yet, but it's on its way.
No.
And mostly from a perspective of, in a rivalry, both teams got to win when it matters. Redwoods got to start winning those games against the Whipsnakes, goddammit.
Here we go.
They got to start winning them goddamn games, bro.
I know.
It's tough. It's tough.
I got faith.
It's going to be fun. Who's your biggest winner from Champ Series overall? Team, player, coach? Who won the week?
Ronan Jacoby. coming off men's league and popping. Him and Tommy Palisak. Those two are absolute winners. Top notch.
Yeah, Ronan was my winner of the week. I think we're gonna put out a graphic too for all Champ Series team, OTB all Champ Series team. We'll conjure up like a first team and a second team, all OTB for Champ Series. And I know, shout out to Matt DeLuca, man. Shout out to DeLuca.
First team,
bro.
Unanimous. Unanimous. I don't even care if he didn't play as good as he did. He would have been first team.
Absolute stud. It was awesome. Shout out to Mike Rabel, Danny Passovoy, Piper Bond, BC, Brendan Coleman, and Andy Copeland, and Chris Rosenthal for hopping on OTB radio this week and making it happen. Shout out to Grace Hamilton and Paul Rabel as well for allowing it to happen. And dude, I was in the same building as Frank the Mutter fucking Tank, who got 50% off PLL Pilsners for the people in back-to-back days.
That's fire. 50% off is getting things cheap around there.
And he picked the Atlas as his squad.
Well, that's on him.
Very fitting for Frank the Tank.
He can deal with that.
That's all we got for you guys. I know there's some PLL signings, but DJ and I have basketball to go call as we're recording this. Shout Del Malloy, shout Drake Porter, and Brian Costabile. Shocking the world. Goes back to Atlas. Nobody saw that coming, especially with the whispers we were hearing around Champ Series. Make sure you guys download the PLL app. Use code OTBPOD in the PLL app redeem code section. Use our code. You get 500 XP in the app. Support us. Use that code. The more you use it, the more awesome stuff is going to happen with us in the PLL and the PLL app. So keep using the code. It's still active as of this recording. And by the time you guys are watching this, we've checked it with multiple people. Use that code OTBPOD in the redeem code section of the PLL app. Download the PLL app. Deej and I use that religiously. Deej, I'm sure, will have his college picks. We'll have our college picks and everything out in some sort of form, whether it's a video form on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. So follow us at OTB LaxPod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/Underground Sports PHI. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me, KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple, Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. And this has been episode number 311 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box Podcast, the official lacrosse pod on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. Once again, thank you to Danny Passovoy, Chris Rosenthal, and Piper Bond for hopping on OTB Radio and being a part of this episode. Enjoy this weekend of NLL and college lacrosse. Shout out to the Unleashed Women's All-Stars as well. We'll touch more on that next week because there's a lot to unpack from that game that we want to dedicate full on time to. Plus, we have 2 more interviews from OTB Radio. But we're getting the heck up out of here. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.